Good day, everyone. I am Marneliza Ledesma together with my group mates.
I'm Ronald B. Ipon II.
Angel Espanyol Humawan.
Maria Betel Joy Flores Labayan,
Mirica Lazarito.
and Aris Hamora.
Our topic for today is all about the impacts of civil engineering projects on the environment. To start with, this entire discussion is divided into four subtopics, namely civil engineering projects and its correlation to the environment, impacts of civil engineering projects on the environment, essential ways to protect the environment during construction of civil engineering projects, and lastly, measures of engineering projects for the reduction of the environmental impact. As an introduction, the field of civil engineering requires a wide range of abilities. The design of major transportation project, water supply, sewage treatment, construction, and maintenance are all included. There are five types of civil engineering projects, and these are construction and management, structural, geotechnical, transportation, and water engineering, all of which were already thoroughly discussed by the previous group, so we assume that we already have the basic knowledge of those types as we go on. So what is the correlation of civil engineering projects and the environment? Now, the goal of civil engineers is to build clean and efficient systems or structures that benefits the people and the environment. A healthy earth means healthy people. To build physical structures or systems that improve the quality of life of the people using them. Basically, the people and the environment benefit a system or structure more when it is designed to minimize the environmental damage. This is now where the environmental consideration come into picture. Environmental consideration have to be taken into account when embarking on a new project. Civil engineering projects around the world have a significant impact on our environment, both on a local and a global scale. Every stage of the construction process has a measurable environmental impact, from the planning to the actual construction and the infrastructure itself. It is important that we understand how the projects we undertake impact the environment and how we can measure and lessen that impact in the future, given the rapidly expanding global economy, which also drives development of different infrastructures.
Today, I'll be discussing about the positive and negative impacts of CE projects on the environment. Every day, large-scale projects to develop and restore infrastructures and resources are put into action. Sustainability in civil engineering techniques is the foundation of modern project planning and management, allowing experts to guarantee that each project is carried out in the safest, most environmentally friendly, and longest-lasting manner possible. Faulty engineering is one of the negative impacts of CE projects. It can cause disasters in communities due to building deterioration, road and bridge difficulties, and water system failures. Communities may also suffer as a result of lost livelihoods or susceptibility to natural disasters such as floods or erosion. One common objection is that large development projects favor the rich but do not aid disadvantaged populations. These projects, long-term and short-term, impacts on the environment include impacts on human beings, man-made features, agriculture, and water resources, and of course, the indirect and secondary impact associated with the project. So let's go to the negative and positive impact of building dams. Positive impact of building dams. First is the hydroelectric power. One of the most beneficial aspects of dams is the potential to create hydroelectric power. Hydroelectric power is created when water passes through a dam via a turbine. Hydroelectricity is one of the most studied forms of alternative energy, as it is relatively reliable and stable, and most hydroelectric power have low maintenance and operational costs. Next is controlling waterways. Flooding can be disastrous for many communities, especially if nearby water resources are hard to control. Dams are able to redirect waterways to other areas to keep communities safe or open up more land to build on. Flood control dams specifically mitigate floodwaters by impounding water and then safely diverting the water towards other places. Next is the great source of irrigation. The presence of a dam creates a reservoir that can be used as a great source of water, specifically for farm and industrial activities. Next is the negative impact of building dams. Risk of sediment build-up. When water rushes through a dam and its internal turbines, it can create a great spot for sediment layers to be trapped and congregate, which then can pollute the water and disrupt the ecology of the water environment. Then, damaging the environment. Rushing floodwaters replenish the nutrients in the soil and water, which is beneficial to all plant and animal life in rivers and the other waterways. When water is diverted due to a dam, it can greatly disrupt the delicate natural ecosystem. Some flora and fauna are able to adapt to the changing conditions, but many will not, and could be destroyed in the new environment. Then, the erosion of surrounding soil. After the construction of many dams, erosion of the surrounding land has been noticed. The large reservoir at China Three Gorges Dam has eroded nearby shoreline, which has led to landslide along the side of the reservoir. And lastly, the high cost and risk for disaster. The cost of building a dam often reaches astronomical levels. The engineering and technical aspects along with the actual construction is a time-intensive and laborious process that has to be done with absolute precision. So let's proceed to positive and negative impact of building bridges. So first is economic impact. So bridges increase cash flow when they join two places that complement each other economically. It can have a powerful impact when an area that has a large money supply is connected to one that has goods or services to sell or people who need work. Next is its cost-effective way of transportation. Most of the long bridges of 1 mile and more come with a toll tax. The amount is usually small and negligible amount. So if you are using a bridge to travel from the mainland to an island, then chances are high that you would be required to pay a small toll tax, which incidentally is cheaper than a ticket on a local ferry. And lastly is about the traffic. Bridges, as mentioned earlier, play a pivotal role when it comes to regulating traffic. They are quite effective in redirecting traffic to other segments of the city and help reduce the traffic load on the roads during peak hours. Negative impact of bridges. First is the natural ecosystem. Building bridges are essential, but it is equally important to take care that the surrounding natural ecosystems are not altered radically, as this can have an impact on the local environment. Sadly, though, most of the local governments pay little heed to local ecosystems, and as a result, it had a direct impact on their environment. Next is pollution. While the main purpose of structural systems is to enable people to travel from one point to another, several of them litter the route. As a result, areas around bridges, overhang, passes often contain mounds of litter. This is why areas in and around these bridges are often affected, impacting local life, both flora and fauna. Furthermore, increased traffic over the bridges often results in chemical and air pollution, thereby making it harder for those residing close by. Then lastly is the reduction in green space. It is inevitable that in order to construct and install a bridge, several trees would have to be cut down, and this often results in reduction in green space. This is why some of the governments have made a mandatory for construction companies to maintain a decently sized green space either under the bridge or close by.
So one of civil engineering projects on the environment is the road and highways. So now let's talk about the positive and negative impact of road and highways. Positive impact of road and highways. So road and highways provide the opportunity of mobility, which you can travel by land because of this. They provide transportation for people, commodities, raw materials, and other items to various parts of the world. Roads and highways improves the livelihood of rural population while increasing farm yields and profitability. Additionally, these roads have a tendency to draw people to highly profitable farming areas by drawing them away from vulnerable wilderness areas. And for its negative impact, roads and highways occupy land resources and form barriers to animals. They can also cause adverse impact on natural water resources and discharge areas. The three most damaging effects of road construction and management are noise, dust, and vibrations. So the other civil engineering project is the railways. So now let's talk also about the positive and negative impact of railways. So the positive impact of railways are when transporting a lot of freight, rail has lower fuel expenses than roads transportation. Additionally, rail often has lower expenses for drop trailer programs and lower driver costs. It is more environmentally beneficial to ship goods by train because compared to trucks, trains use less fuel per tons per mile. And for its negative impact, the most common environmental complaints about the railway are the noise, vibration, and the amount of carbon emission they produce, which pollutes the air, soil, water, and also cause damage to living organisms.
Positive impacts and negative impacts of construction sites and buildings. For the positive impacts, green construction practices are being introduced to minimize the negative effects of various issues brought by construction sites. Quieter, fuel-efficient tools and machines are now available, as well as recycling and reusing materials where possible to reduce waste. The industry is seeking to make a positive changes to their ways of working, materials used, and production to minimize the negative effects of construction and protect the environment for future generations. For the negative impact, according to some studies, construction is responsible for up to 50% of climate change. It also impacts landfills and air, water, and noise pollution. Construction can be noisy, produce excess waste, and be energy inefficient. Moreover, additional studies reveal that excavation of raw resources impacts the environment negatively. The next example of civil engineering project are buildings. Civil engineers develop self-sufficient buildings that promote energy use, which positively impacts the environment. But on the other hand, poorly designed and constructed buildings use more energy, increasing the demand on energy production that contributes to global warming.
The essential ways to protect the environment during the construction of civil engineering projects. The first one is to minimize the waste. Construction produces a large amount of waste materials. There's no way around it, but you can and should look for ways to minimize the waste you're producing, increasing the efficiency of your operations, optimizing the use of supplies and materials, and choosing products and methods that reduce waste are all great way to reduce the production of waste materials for all your projects. Every little bit really does add up. One example of ani is anang dapat insakto gid ang pagkat, kung mali ang pagkat sayang kayo ang katong mabilin og mapadulong na lang siya sa waste. So dapat measure og ayo ang mga materials para dili masayang. And the second one is the industrial recycling. Explore recycling initiatives specifically aimed at the construction industry, like the APAS Industrial Recycling Program. This program focuses on recycling construction and demolition debris in other construction applications on site. We are all aware that during and after construction, daghan higig mga biling na mga waste materials o ang uban na ginadispose lang, but we can recycle it to form another shapes or another uses ato nga mga material. And the third one is the efficient energy use. Use tools, products, and materials that promote the efficient energy use. Look for ways to improve the energy efficiency of your operations, materials, use, and final products. So, kanang bitong tools nga di na ginagamit, dapat atong i-minimize ang pag-conserve sa atong energy para dili lang bitaw masayang ang atong energy consumption. So the fourth one is choosing green solutions. Look for products and materials specifically designed to be more environmentally friendly. Consider products that reduce the environmental impact of specific part of your operation, such as using inflatable bladder dam for all your dewatering applications. So there are products that are environmental friendly o mo to siya ang advisable gyud nga ginagamit sa construction kay para dili madaot ang atong environment. And the last way to protect the environment is the protection of ecological resources. It's important to protect the water, the plant life, the animal species in the area of your project. Not only will be the general public, but take note that the government has regulations in place to protect the biodiversity, local ecologies. Your end goal is to complete your project with the highest quality, most efficient timeline, and least environmental impact. So dapat gyud nga responsible ang atong mga coworkers or any other person nga in charge atong mga project, dili lang basta-basta ginalabay ang mga waste sa mga sa mga bodies of water or bisan sa mga bodies of land. Kay daghan kayong maapektuhan nga mga species ato maguba ang og possible nga maguba ang ilang mga habitat or mga matay ang mga species nga napuyo ato nga area.
Measures of engineering projects for the reduction of environmental impacts. We have here the three measures: the preventive, corrective, and compensatory measure. First, let us talk about the preventive measure. Preventive measure safeguards the ecosystems, landscapes, and valuable components in the region where the project is situated. The cost of the work will also be reduced in the medium run if these are properly studied and used. The second one is the corrective measure. Corrective measures will work better if they are designed concurrently and in concert with other project components, such as structures and drainage, rather than when they are afterwards implemented as a patch. Lastly, we have the compensatory measure. According to Hoffman and Ibish 2017, environmentalists should vehemently demand a suitable quid pro quo as part of compensatory measures that would aim to minimize net loss of biodiversity. In conclusion, environmental sustainability must be a priority in carrying and drafting out an engineering project.